YouTube, how's it going? The GOAT House is back with some way too early post-free agency 2020 NFL season predictions, going division by division. This video for the NFC divisions. Already did this video for the AFC divisions. Still waiting on schedules. Still got to get through the draft. So a lot will change. This is kind of fun to see how I view teams after free agency. So we'll revisit these and update these, I should say, after the draft there, of course. So, and speaking of the draft, we're going to be live during it, April 23rd, live right here on YouTube, instant analysis, predictions on the spot. It's going to be a lot of fun talking with the chat. We're going to have some live streams leading up to the draft as well. Very excited. A lot planned here for the GOAT House. We have 2 channels. Please subscribe to both. 50K is the sub goal on both by the time we hit the draft. So please help us out. There's a link down below for that second channel. For our Twitter, which is, we're going to be covering the later rounds of the draft on there. Breaking news, instant reaction to breaking news, polls, fan voted mock drafts going on right now. So must go to the Twitter if you're a GOAT House or football fan. Any link that you need to support the GOAT House or check out more content, you'll find it down below. Link in the description, in the comments. Spotify and Apple, we are on with our podcast, so check that out. 6 episodes out. Let's predict some divisions here. NFC East, 2-3. I'll say this: 2, 3, 4, up in the air. You could argue 2, 3, 4 right now, in my opinion, of who could be where. That's my opinion here. Number 4 right now, and it's tough because I think this team will definitely take a step up. I think all these, I think 2 of these teams, 3 of these teams maybe will. But the Giants, I got at 4 right now. But I still like the future. Daniel Jones, more impressive than expected, a lot more impressive than expected. Saquon Barkley has the traits to be the very best running back in football, and he can do that right now, in my opinion. He didn't do that yet, but he can do that right now. Offensive line still needs to get better. They kind of left that open, through free agency here. So that still needs to get better. Maybe a reason why they're at 4. The pass rush is a big reason. The edge rush positions, both of them, that needs to get better. To me, the defense didn't get a whole lot better. Really, not much of anything got a whole lot better in free agency. A lot of signings, a lot more that we expected. But the team didn't make this major jump like I expected, or like some maybe expected. So far, we still have the draft, and they still have the 4th overall pick. So, like I said in the AFC video, it's not like it was like 10 years ago. Today's NFL, today's rookies make a giant impact. I mean, you see the rookies throughout the playoffs even, the impact they made. So when we come back to this, the Giants can definitely take that step up. There's still some free agents that could be signed. But for right now, for those reasons, they're at 4. And the reason maybe the Redskins are ahead of them is because the Redskins' defense really doesn't separate them big time. So I think the Giants' offense will be better than the Redskins' offense. Not by a whole lot, though. The Redskins' defense is going to be much better. This Redskins defense could be top tier, top of the line in the NFL. The front 7 is going to be ridiculous. Secondary got better as well. The offense needs to put it together, but I think they'll figure it out. They got a good running back room. I believe in Dwayne Haskins. I believe in him. He's not going to play at a Pro Bowl level this year or anything, but I believe in him. He'll play solid. Needs some receivers. Need to figure out the Trent Williams situation. But the slight thing that's separating the Redskins and the Giants right now is defense. The Giants have a little better offense. The Redskins have a much better defense right now. That's kind of what's separating those teams. But not much is separating them from number 2 as well. And then we'll reveal 1 and 2 here. But number 2 is the Cowboys, who I think got actually worse this offseason, which is kind of surprising with the cap space they had. And they lost some free agents of their own. And then losing Travis Frederick in their center in terms of to retirement, I should say. So that takes it on the offensive line. They stayed pretty much the same. They still need receivers. When McCarthy succeeded, and everyone says McCarthy won a Super Bowl, that may have been the best receiver unit in the history of the NFL. You could argue that, but it's up there for sure. And then when he struggled, it wasn't all his fault because the front office didn't put the right pieces there. But that feels like what the Cowboys are doing right now. They definitely need more help in terms of the targets. They need a center. And looking at the defensive side, they need secondary. They need secondary, and they need, I don't want to say a lot of it, but they need to get better in the secondary, multiple positions. So yeah, maybe a lot of it. And they lost Robert Quinn, so their only pass rush right now is really just DeMarcus Lawrence, who I thought was a little off his game last year. The only highlight is the only thing that stands out big time to me maybe is Jalen Smith. I like DeMarcus Lawrence, but he's got to stay a little more consistent to me. So the Cowboys, little disappointing. To me, a little disappointing. I think the Eagles are clear one right now. They do need receivers. They're sitting in a pretty good spot in the draft. But other than that, Wentz has been a guy that I viewed. Okay, first let me get this out. I think Wentz is good. I think he's more than good. Okay, but I always viewed Wentz as pretty overrated. There's people talking elite. He hasn't done that yet. There's no way you can argue that he's played at elite level yet. He was going to win MVP one season, but going to in 1 year doesn't make him elite. Then had his injuries, but this guy has, you can see the traits, you can see it in him that he can be elite. So that I can get behind. But me being not a huge Wentz fan compared to a lot of people, I believe in him this year. I think he's going to take a big step up, and he's kind of getting that right direction where we kind of expect him to play. And you're looking at, we know the offensive line will be solid. We know. I really want them to add another running back as well to pair with Miles Sanders. I think, I don't think he's an every down guy. I think they need another one. But looking at their defense, that defensive line, that was one that, people were hyping up. This is the best defensive line in football last year. And I was kind of saying, slow your roll a little bit. Basically, my Eagles predictions were spot on last year, I thought. This year, I think everyone was a year early. I think everyone was a year early with those predictions. I think this D-line could be the top of the NFL. Adding Javon Hargrave for a nose tackle could give you flexibility with your other flexible guys, how they can move around a bit, and give some different hybrid looks. And they finally add a proven corner in there, which I was calling for. Before free agency started, I'm like, enough's enough. Stop messing around with these average to below average young corners. Let's go get a guy that's proven. They go and do that. The linebacker needs a little help. They have holes. For a really good team, they have holes, but this is a firepower team. This is an exciting team that I think this could be the year where they take more of a step up that we thought maybe was last year. So I got the Eagles, no brainer, no question, number one right now. NFC North. I thought this was pretty clear cut at this given time, the NFC North actually. 4 I have the Lions, which is a pretty good number 4 because I think they got slightly better adding a guy like Jamie Collins. There's a lot of small signings that I like, but it didn't make them in a major way better. What makes them better is Stafford coming back, and the Lions were looking pretty solid before Stafford got hurt. Some people were saying, what if Stafford didn't get hurt? I would say they had a chance to kind of, maybe make the playoff. I don't think so, but we'll see how Stafford is. This team still needs some pieces. Their offensive line, I think Big V's going to play right tackle, so they need a guard, another running back, another receiver, in my opinion. They need a number 3 receiver. I know they brought Amendola back, and Marvin Jones keeps getting hurt. And look at the defense. There's some good pieces about the defense that they added to, but they definitely need to add more to the defense. There's nothing special to me about that defense. They filled some holes. So they're still at number 4 in this division. It's a pretty good number 4. Number 3 is going to be the Vikings, losing Diggs in free agency. And they lost quite a few other free agents. Those weren't really that impactful. I expect a lot of those guys to be out, but they kind of add up. When you have Diggs out, gone, you have and then a list of guys gone. It kind of, stacking all those together, it kind of looks like the Vikings got worse at this time. They do have a ton of draft picks, but like I said, rookies make a huge impact today if you do the draft right. So the Vikings could jump up. And the thing, I thought Kirk Cousins played pretty well last year, given that they still had one of the worst offensive lines in football on top of that. And that kind of brings back to they still pretty much have the same offensive line. They need to make that better still, because that's what's stopping them short. But back to Kirk Cousins, could he take another jump up? Because he took a significant jump last year, 2 years ago to last year. So I guess that's a reason that you could like the Vikings a little more than 3. But they have holes right now. They do. Receiver's a big hole. The offensive line's what's stopping them short. They still need to fix that. Cornerback, they need another pass rusher. Could use another interior guy. They have more holes than you think. They do have elite or borderline elite talent with guys like Danielle Hunter, Harrison Smith. We'll see what happens with Anthony Harris. I think he played like maybe the best safety in football last year. Eric Kendricks, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook. They have a long list of guys that are really, really good. really good. But then they have those holes, and they got worse this offseason. So that's why they are number 3. And then number 1 and number 2, I got the Packers at 2, won the division last year. They stayed healthy. That's kind of why they missed out on the top of the division perhaps the years before. So can they stay healthy this year? Their defense really stepped up last year, and that was the reason they won the division. Because their defense really stepped up. They finally went out and spent big in free agency. And I'm a huge Darius Smith fan. I picked him for Defensive Player of the Year last year, and I think he can continue to play at that high of a level. He does so much for this defense, but I expected them to kind of keep improving. Like they finally learned we got to keep adding guys in free agency, and it felt like I know they didn't do that, and it felt like they kind of got worse. Rick Wagner instead of Balaga. They didn't. They replaced Kirksey. They replaced Martinez with Kirksey, but they still have an opening at inside linebacker. They still have openings at the D line minus Kenny Clark. They didn't really. They still have an opening at receiver, at tight end. So it just felt like so far the Packers, kind of like the Vikings, a good team that kind of got worse. It felt like that for the Packers. And then meanwhile, the Bears, I think, got a good amount better, like a good amount. And there's people that don't like the Nick Foles trade. I don't think anybody likes the Jimmy Graham signing. But there's, so that's really not. It doesn't make an impact here. But there's some people that don't like the Nick Foles trade. There's some people that don't like the Robert Quinn signing. They're risky. You got to take risks to take that jump. And I say, without a doubt, they got better at quarterback. That there's no question. You cannot argue that with me. I'm open to a lot of debates and arguments. You can't argue that one with me. No matter if you don't like Nick Foles, they got not even a little better. They got a lot better at the quarterback position, and they're in the playbook. That's another thing. The playbook opens up more too. And you look at the defense, adding Robert Quinn. Last year they didn't have Akeem Hicks. He was hurt a lot. He's a dominant defensive lineman. He missed most of the year and then was playing hurt when I think he was playing. And then it was pretty much just Khalil Mack getting after the quarterback by himself, and everyone was doubling him. Now they add Robert Quinn. And maybe you're not a big believer in Robert Quinn. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the pass rush still got better. And that defense, will it go back to be playing like the 2018 defense? No. They got a ridiculous amount of turnovers that year. And they took a step down last year. I still think a good defense last year. But I think this year's defense, I'm very confident about it actually, that it'll be better than last year's defense and pretty close to that 2018 defense, which remember, that defense got a Mitchell Trubisky offense to the playoffs. It got them to the playoffs. And now you add Nick Foles into the mix. Guys like Anthony Miller are getting better. They still have to fill some holes. They still do. But this team got a lot better, and it was a team that just dominated the division 2 years ago. And I think, looking at the Packers and the Vikings got worse. The Lions didn't do a whole bunch. To me, the Bears are the best team in this division at this moment. But the draft can make a big impact because the Bears do not have a first-round pick. The Vikings have 2 of them. The Packers have 1. And, and not just the first-round pick, but the rest of the draft as well. And the Lions have a very early one. So things definitely can change after the draft, but that's how I view it right now, and I didn't really have to think too much about this division. The NFC South is a pretty damn good division now. Coming in at number 4 still is the Panthers. I love the Teddy Bridgewater signing. I'm a big Teddy Bridgewater fan. I'm a fan of this coaching staff, Matt Rule, Joe Brady, like it a lot. So they before they got Teddy Bridgewater, we're figuring this team, if Cam Newton's not the quarterback, this team's, it's a rebuild team. It's not going to do much of anything, but adding Teddy Bridgewater makes them have they have the ability to win and place higher than 4th. But you look at Teddy with McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, but you look at the rest of the team, and there's still some pretty big holes on the rest of the team. The offensive line could get better. There's no, giant holes in the offensive line. Mainly looking at the defense across the whole defensive line, definitely needs to get better. I like Brian Burns. I like Christian Miller's got some upside. They got Shaq Thompson, but they could definitely use another piece in there. But the whole secondary needs to get a significant amount better. So because of the evaluating rosters, because of the holes, they remain at number 4. They got a bright future though with that staff, with Teddy Bridgewater, got Christian McCaffrey, guys like that. Number 3 is going to be the Falcons, and the Falcons could have that explosive offense that we kind of expected more of last year. They could have that now, with Matt Ryan, with that receiver unit, now adding Todd Gurley to the mix. The offensive line struggled the last 2 years, but they drafted 2 guys in the first round last year. Those guys can stay healthier and take a step up this year. And the defense is, why they're not 1 or 2 is because the defense still has those holes. They had Dante Fowler, so that makes them better in terms of the pass rush. They could use another pass rusher. Interior defense line stays the same. They lose Devondre Campbell, so it's pretty much Deion Jones in there. In the secondary, they lost some guys, and hoping Keanu Neal stays healthy. There's still a lot of holes in that defense, and that could be the problem still. So the Falcons and the Panthers are pretty close right now, and 1 and 2 are pretty damn close. But I got the Buccaneers winning the division right now, and it's not just because of Tom Brady. I talked about this a whole lot. I mean, Tom Brady definitely makes them a lot better. He definitely makes them better. Let's not argue that. Bruce Arians' second year. That Chris Godwin's continuing to get better. How are Godwin and Mike Evans going to be in the tight end duo with Tom Brady? They're going to be even better. They could use another running back. That's prime spot for the draft. I love grabbing young running backs in the draft that can make an impact right away. Could use another offense line. Look at the defense. I think the people are really underrating this defense. Really underrating it. It starts with the defensive line. Don't forget that defensive line was top of the NFL in stopping the run. And I think a big they added Ndamukong Suh and they brought him back this year. But I think a big reason is Vita Vea too, who's going to continue to get better. That's a very good nose tackle, and they switched to a 3-4 last year, which he fits better. And then that 3-4 linebacker unit, in my opinion, the best in football. You got Shaq Barrett, you got Jason Pierre-Paul getting after the quarterback. It's a great pass rush duo, and you add in Levante David and Devin White, who can do what? Stop the run, get after the quarterback on blitzes, and are both of them excellent in dropping in coverage. That's probably the best inside linebacker duo in football. And the secondaries where people are sleeping on, they've done in the last couple of years done a very good job drafting mainly corners. The corner group is good. I consider it good. Sean Murphy-Bunting, very high on him. Carlton Davis was very high on him 2 years ago. He played very well last year. Jamel Dean, another Auburn corner, was very impressive last year, and they got some depth guys as well. They could get better in safety, but they got young guys like Justin Evans, Mike Edwards, pretty good playing the box. Whitehead not bad as well. They could get better. The corner group's good, and people just don't think it's good. It's good. You saw the jump from the Bucs defense. I'd say throughout the last 3 years, if you had to summarize, put all the defensive performances together, the Buccaneers might be at the very bottom of the league. But look at the difference between those years versus the second half of last season, the jump they made because the improvements they made, the scheme change, and the young talent that they had that was getting better. This team's all around a very good team. I think so. And I was getting ready to jump on them for those reasons, even with Jameis Winston. They have Tom Brady instead. The Saints, too. Saints are going to be a very good team like they always are. Very good roster, very good players, very good coaching staff. To me, they get better with Emmanuel Sanders. But how much better does one player make them two? It's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same team that it's been for a long time, and that makes them that much more impressive because it feels like they kind of been the same team. Adding Demario Davis, along the way here last couple of years, and Michael Thomas's improvement, I guess kind of factored into them getting better. But yeah, teams get figured out, when they say the same. And that, again, that's why it makes it so much more impressive how they're able to just continue to be a very solid team. But I just see more from the Bucs. I just see more, overall. I think more talent, more firepower, and then more unpredictability. I guess from that team because you don't know you don't really when teams match up against them, that you don't have a whole bunch of knowledge on what they're going to give you too. So I like the Bucs to jump up this year, and then we move on to the NFC West, which is a very good division now. But at number 4, I have the Rams, and it's. It's sad because they were in the Super Bowl just 2 years ago, and last year took a big step down. Why? Because I think there's a mixture of things. The offensive line, number 1, didn't play anywhere near as good, which I kind of predicted to happen last year. It didn't play anywhere near as good as it did the Super Bowl year, and that forced Jared Goff to, he had to do a lot more, and he really struggled. But the same time is we got a good look at that Rams new system, that unique system in 2018. Everyone started to kind of figure it out last year as well. Everything started to become predictable when it was very unpredictable when they made the Super Bowl run. So a mixture of those things, and the defense, Obviously, we knew that defense, it could be playmaking defense at times, but it's not going to be a top-tier defense. They had Jalen Ramsey. We get to see him full year on the Rams. That's great. There's no Corey Littleton. There's no Dante Fowler. The defense is lacking in many, many spots, and they still didn't fix the offensive line. There's no more Gurley. I'm a big Darrell Henderson fan. I was very shocked they didn't use him more last year, but I believe in him to step up. They're trying to trade Brandon Cooks too. It's just messy over there. There's still quite a bit of holes. I just don't expect the whole. It's a pretty good number 4 in terms of a division, but I just don't expect a whole bunch. Cardinals at number 3. This could be a sneaky good team because his offense is unique. It's going to be unpredictable. It's still developing. Kyler Murray's still developing. He's going to continue to get better. The offensive line needs to get better to help him. The receiver unit got a lot better, adding DeAndre Hopkins. That's pretty scary. The offense will be good. It'll put up points. The offensive line can slow it down or can stop them short at times, though. That's the concern on the offensive side. The defensive side, it got better. I actually like the secondary a lot. Is it going to be a top-tier secondary? Probably not, but it's going to be a pretty damn good secondary. The defense got better, adding Devondre Campbell, Devon Kennard, Jordan Phillips. That makes them better, but how much better does it make them? The defense still, could use more defensive line help. The pass rush could get better still, but it'll be a lot better. The team overall will be better, and they'll be competing for a playoff spot. Just kind of looking at the I guess the fronts, the offensive front, the defensive front, minus Chandler Jones, it's still closer to the weaker side in the offensive line specifically. So, and that's what stops good teams short. So that's why there's still 3, but that can be a dangerous, dangerous team. It's a pretty damn good number 3. And then 2-1, which before free agency start, I expected really to have the Seahawks at 1 and the 49ers at 2, because I expected the Seahawks to do a little more in free agency. And right now I feel like they've gotten worse because there was some offensive line changes. Maybe that could have slightly made them better. Nothing else that's going to, the offense will be better. I'm not saying, there's no way you can say that. The defense, no Clowney as of right now. They definitely can sign him back. I feel like something's getting close to happening. No Quentin Jefferson. And then you got, hopefully LJ Collier can step up. I viewed him as more of a 3 technique in a 4-3, specifically a 3-4 end. They got him in a 4-3. I don't like him at edge rush. We'll see what they do with him. So, and then maybe they get a little better at Quentin Dunbar. But yeah, I expected more. You're always maybe even a top tier contender at Russell Wilson, one of the very, very best in football, elite playmaker at the quarterback position. But I wish they improved, because now is the time. Now is the time. You're going to win a Super Bowl now. You have the pieces. You have Russell Wilson to win a Super Bowl now. But just now is the time to kind of fill those needs and just get better. If it feels like they've been afraid to get better. They know they're good, but you could get better in a lot of spots. And when you have elite quarterbacks, that's usually rare, So the Seahawks, interesting. The Niners, still the best roster in this division. They don't have Russell Wilson, but they have a great coaching staff. They have a great system. Garoppolo could actually continue to get better. I'm excited. I'm still excited. I'm still waiting. It's tough. But Jerick McKinnon. Jerick McKinnon's been out for 2 years. I viewed him as arguably the best receiving back in football, and that was before McCaffrey really came along and broke through. And I also viewed it possibly the fastest running back that played in football, and I was just so excited to watch him in the Shanahan offense. We've never been able to do that. I'm hoping we can see that. It's not going to make or break this team really, but it can make them better if he's able to stay healthy. But he's been out for 2 years. On the defensive side, it's pretty much the same, but it's also very young. It's going to get better by default. They had some really good draft classes. Can Nick Bosa get even better? Can Eric Armstead get even better? D Ford, second year on this team, had some injuries last year. Can he actually get better? I think the answer to those is shockingly yes to all those. So the Niners remain number 1 right now. The Seahawks, with Russell Wilson being healthy and kind of adding a couple more pieces, definitely can be a top tier contender and be number 1 really. And the Cardinals are knocking on the door. If the Rams get the offensive line together, they're knocking on the door. So It's a very good division. Very good division, just like the AFC West. I talked about that one a lot in the AFC video, like how crazy good it is and how all four teams could really do some damage. But that's my NFC division predictions at this way too early time post-free agency. We'll revisit this. Once the schedules are out, we're going to go through the schedules like crazy. Going to do game-by-game record predictions. We're going to revisit this, all my predictions, get some of the other fellas' predictions. The draft. It's draft season now, though. It's draft season. We're going to go through all kinds of draft content. We're going to have some live streams leading up to the draft. We'll be live during the NFL draft. Hope you can join us for that right here on YouTube. Link in the description in the comments for everything you need, our second channel, our Twitter, Instagram, and the podcast. So please check that out. Please click that like button. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.